He's going to go home with at least $12.4 million this year. He only had 27 yards. In big games like this, stars have to show up. He's not a star.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Dorm Debate Podcast. I hope you guys enjoyed Super Wildcard Weekend. Unfortunately, we didn't. There were a lot of reasons why. Caleb, Eagles fan, Jonathan, Cowboys fan. There wasn't a lot to cheer about for those games. And also for John and I, we lost some money betting, which, kind of sucked. I had Cowboys, I had Eagles. So it was just a sad time over here on Dorm Debate. Hopefully you guys had a better time. Caleb, one thing to be happy about, your bracket is doing the best so far. I don't think it will going forward because you had the Eagles going all the way, but you only had one wrong. So if, at the very least, you had a near perfect bracket. Last year, you had a perfect bracket going into the second round. What the heck? What is with you? Would you rather have this or the Eagles win?
I'd rather the Eagles win every time, but
okay.
I'll concede that I know the podcast episode when I uploaded it, it was I think it was our playoff predictions with no bias whatsoever. With the benefit of hindsight, I think I let a little bias get in my
really? I couldn't tell.
Just a little?
Because I did have the Eagles winning the Super Bowl.
So you're saying if there was no bias, you would have been perfect as of right now.
To be fair, in hindsight, if I didn't have don't do that. If I didn't have bias, I would have still had the Eagles beat the Bucs. Because I think the matchup, like John, you had it, like we talked about it, like the matchup was good. Yeah. I think it's a testament to how the Bucs are kind of the team to beat now. I know the Packers, we'll talk about them too, but there's much to be said. Yeah, but for the Eagles to lose, man, it did suck. It felt like, it's obviously a cool thing to say we got into the playoffs. It helps people keep their jobs as a player. It's cool to say. But at the same time, as an Eagles fan, you don't want to just get in. Isn't the goal? You want to win. And it felt like we kind of slid in under the radar. Like I think all the wild cards except for the 49ers are out. So with the way the new system is, the more teams making it, it's kind of like, we got exposed for some of the flaws that we made the playoffs, but we weren't able to compete against the top playoff teams. And I think you guys mentioned this, but of all the wins in the regular season, except for the 9-8 Saints, all the wins came against teams with losing records. And against the teams that are in the playoffs, the Eagles went 0-7. So, and again, we talked about this last week that I would rather it this way, but the Eagles are a good second half team. They did perform a little better, but the flaws in the defense and the holes that we have were just exposed. And I really thought the matchup with the Bucs was gonna pose a bigger challenge, but I think watching that game in my head was just that we looked immature. I think that reflected the young coach, the not young in age, but just like the new that like a lot of staff is young, a lot of veterans and really young players, but then you have gaps in between. Like I think Smith was a great pickup, the first receiver pickup that we've had, but then he doesn't get as much help. There's not another guy to take attention away. Mistakes from Hurts kind of really hurt, as well as on special teams turnovers, and I think the Eagles are just outcoached and outdisciplined, and it's like that stuff you can't, no matter how good the matchup is. Those are like things that are organizationally that come with wisdom from the talent that you have at the coaching and management positions. So I think we have a lot of work to do. I'm not off the Hurts train yet, but it wasn't an encouraging performance. I'm not gonna mince words. I mean, I spent enough time defending Carson Wentz in the past seasons that I got to learn how to call it how it is sometimes. But I mean, I'm curious what you guys thought. But as an Eagles fan, I let my bias get the better of me. But that being said, it is it's a tough division, so I think it kind of forces every team in that division to breed as tough players, unless you're the Washington football team. As they're called for now, because I know they're going to come out with a new name. So I'm interested to see what the next year is, but I think next year will most likely be a year of fate for the coach, for the quarterback, maybe some of the management, because I know Gannon is the defensive coordinator, but he's interviewing for a couple of head coaching jobs, and I think, with the stats that I mentioned against winning teams and playoff teams, it's not. I think the defensive strategy needs a really revamp because whatever we did wasn't working. And again, with the Bucks game too, and I kind of felt like because and I call it immature, the coaching was immature, was that the Bucks have the best run stopping defense and we were the best rushing defense and they were able to stop us. And my fear going into the game was, and this is what happened, but they score on the first drive. Once you're down, it's very hard to continue to run. And the Bucks had their way with us. And in my mind, I'm thinking if I'm the coach, you just keep playing your game until you wear down that defense, and then you become the second half team, make up for it. But it felt like I don't know what the numbers exactly was, but it felt like we started to go to the pass really early. Like we regressed into what wasn't working for the first 4 or 5 games, whereas sticking to the run, we kind of oh, they bottled us up, we got to stop. It's a little gun shy when we should have stuck with it. So yeah, mixed reactions, but I guess I do have the three for four on the playoff prediction, so we'll see how else I go.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I was texting John basically the whole time, and it was so frustrating because they had such good field position on multiple drives, but they could never, just at minimum, get in the field goal range, and there were so many penalties on big plays too that were just so annoying. And then of course, when they finally get the ball moving, then Hurts throws an interception right before half. It's like every time they had like 1 step forward, 2 steps back type of thing.
Yeah, like we forced the punt and then Rager, it's a fumble and it's like like that's just from the start. It's just lack of discipline.
You want him cut, right? You want him gone.
I think he can blossom on another team. Like I think Aguilar.
That's one of the nicest ways to say get off my team.
Because where's Aguilar now? He's on the Patriots. I think he's better on the Patriots than he was on the Eagles. Like legit. Like once you get Philadelphia is a tough place to play, and when you're drafted before, some other guys, it's tough. So I think he will.
Yeah.
I was saying. I mean, I would break it down the same way you did. I saw basically not like you said, just immaturity in terms of like the game planning just wasn't there. Like you have one of the best corners in the league, Darius Slay, and he only covered Mike Evans on like a couple plays.
Yeah,
Evans had over 100 yards and a touchdown. So if I would, I mean, I'm obviously not like a pro coach or anything, but I would have Darius Slay man on Evans probably more than 50% of the time, and then like you could tell like the Bucks were just able to move the ball and just methodically move it down the field with only 2 of their top 5 guys that they had earlier in the year against the Eagles. So and then with Hurts, I do think he's still the guy. I think for now, I think I agree with you, give him another year, because I think the biggest thing was his decision making in this game. Like he always seemed a little bit late. Like the guy was coming out of the cut and he didn't want to throw it, so he waited until the guy turned around and then he threw it and it got tipped. Like you gotta, I know you don't want to throw it and maybe get an interception, but you have to have trust that your guy is there. And there wasn't that much trust other than Goddard, and even with Devonta Smith not really getting any catches until the second half. It was just like he didn't really have anybody to trust, and it didn't seem like the passing attack was on the same page. But I think going forward, you stick with Hurts and give him another year and the coaching staff another year.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And plus, I think the Bucks outcoached us. I mean, we know Arians and all that team is but part of the interception, part of the details into why that happened was I think the Bucks were blitzing from the left side, and Hurts is better throwing when he's scrambling to the right. So if you watch the game, they forced him to the side he was less comfortable with, and that's where there was like one tipped ball that almost was an interception. The other one, like when he had to throw across his body, and was from the get-go what the Bucks wanted him to do, and they forced him to do it, and that's where the interception came from. So, that's just like I don't know what you do to reinforce that side, but they would also like rather him go left or stay in the pocket because at 6'1", according to this article that I'm reading by Jeff McClain, like it's hard at 6'1", it's kind of hard to see down the field, so they'd rather him stay in the pocket or go to the side he's uncomfortable with. But that's the kind of coaching stuff, like you said, with Slay, when I think he was up against Evans earlier, like he did kind of hold him back a little bit, but there's a couple of plays where it's like, where was Slay? Like, what are they doing? He's good enough to he's a great corner, but where's the backup? Where's the coaching behind it that, he doesn't have to be on him every time, but where was the reinforcements? Or, you know what I mean? Because Evans is legit. So, yeah, I agree.
transitioning to the Dallas Cowboys. Now, Jonathan, I'm going to give you the floor. Just give me your analysis of the game and then what the future holds for the Cowboys. I mean, there's a lot of uncertainty there. A lot of people are asking for Mike McCarthy to be out. What's your take on the game and what's your take on the future for the Cowboys?
Yeah, so I mean, I just like to start by saying we should have just went 9-8 like the Eagles because we left the same time. You know, it's kind of annoying. We should have won that game, obviously. We were the better team, but we weren't prepared. I think the basic reason or the main reason they lost is because of the coaching. Kyle Shanahan outcoached our coaching staff big time. I'm not going to lie. They came with a great game plan and Garoppolo and the team executed on it. The defense executed on their game plan as well. And so, look, our offense is usually pretty good, but I think the 49ers did a good job of keeping the ball away from the Cowboys. And that's how you beat teams with great offenses. And so, you know, it was pretty disappointing. I want to say I'm really disappointed in Zeke. He's going to go home with at least $12.4 million this year. And, you know, he only had 27 yards. He's supposed to be a star, you know. In big games like this, stars have to show up. He's not a star. He didn't show up when we needed him. The Michael Jordans, the Patrick Mahomes, the Tom Brady's, they show up when their team needs them. Zeke didn't show up. He's not a star. And so it's disappointing. And so, yeah, I mean, there's a lot of things. The penalties killed us as well. I'm not sure how much we had. It was over 14 or 15, something like that. And again, that goes back to coaching and discipline. Bill Belichick's teams don't get much penalties, right? That shows how good of a coach he is. You know, they practice a lot, repetition. Linemen don't make stupid, mistakes or decisions. Cowboys, on the other hand, there was too much penalties. That shows lack of discipline on the coaching. You get that sorted out in practice, you know. And so, Mike McCarthy, a lot of people are calling his, resignation or firing. And so, I tend to agree with that because again, I don't think he does anything. He just stands there. He's not an offensive guru. He's not a defensive guru. He just stands there, yells at the ref when he's angry. He's not that, I don't see what he does. Maybe he's a good leader. Like, hey, we need leaders in the world. Maybe he's a good leader. Okay, I'll give him that. But I don't see him. Like, there's a reason Aaron Rodgers didn't get along with him. We're seeing it now. He's not that good of a coach. He's just a good leader, I guess. He's a nice guy. But he couldn't get the job done. He got outcoached by this young Kyle Shanahan. I mean, I know his dad was a legend, but this young guy is, out coaching this guy, and there's nothing he can do. He can't make adjustments. I thought second half, maybe we could have done better, but that shows our coaches aren't good. If that close of a game, you should be able to make adjustments that will flip it around. But the same things were going on in the second half, and that was an embarrassment on the coaching staff. So, look, I think our offensive coordinator, Kellen Moore, I heard he's interviewing for head coaching positions. Hey, feel free to leave. Honestly, feel free to leave. This is your chance. Feel free to leave because the 49ers got you figured out. So, yeah, I mean, for the future, I mean, I always say next year. I mean, we need more defensive players. Our defense was struggling early, big time against 49ers. I knew this was going to happen. Their offense is dangerous. Deebo Samuel, Garoppolo, he's not bad at all. He doesn't make much mistakes. Kittle's there, they have a lot of weapons. Our defense struggled still. And Micah Parsons, he's been bragging all year. He's tweeting all the time, he thought he was all good. Look, if you don't show up in the big games, you have to keep your mouth shut, Micah Parsons. You're saying the NFL is easy. Is it easy now? Is it easy now, Michael Parsons? And so it's annoying. If you want to talk the talk, you have to walk the walk, rookie. You'll learn that. He didn't show up. I thought he was going to show up by the way he was talking all season, acting like he was on top of the world. Make a play when we need you. And the first, was it in the middle of the second quarter or something, he got hurt where he came out of the game to take a breather and he came back in. I mean, it was probably a minor little twist or something. I don't know. Like, come on. If you're going to talk like that, you got to be tough. And he said something about 49ers like to play tough. They're not going to bully me or something. he talked about that. He was talking like a lot of talk before the game. So I thought he was about to have a great game, and he didn't do anything. So rookie, you'll learn that if you can't talk the talk, then shut your mouth, please. And so, yeah, I mean, look, we need more defensive players. You guys were looking up potential picks Cowboys could get. I've got that guy's name from Georgia.
Jordan Davis, the defensive tackle.
Yeah, I think that would be a great addition to our team. You know, we just need more defensive superstars. We need more guys that will make plays when we need them to make plays. Look, and Dak didn't have his best game. Like, okay, that last play, we had opportunities to win the game, okay? And it come down to that last play, but still, I don't blame it on Dak. I blame it on the ref. Get out of the way. Get out of the way. Like, come on. Like, it was annoying. There's nothing we can do about it. Get out of the way, bro. But honestly, we could have lost that a lot earlier. Like, I think they got a penalty on 4th and inches, right? And that took them back. So, I mean, look, we should have won the game. We're 3rd seed. It's an embarrassment. Everybody's laughing at us. I stayed off of social media the whole weekend because I knew people were going to laugh at us. I mean, it's an embarrassment. So, yeah, I mean, something has to change. Jerry Jones was angry. So, something's about to go down. I don't know. We need a new coach. We need something. A change has to happen because this is ridiculous, So, yeah, enough of my rant, but I'm just a very disappointed Cowboys fan right now. And we always say next year, but I mean, we'll see.
So we can kind of open it up to the floor a little bit. I mean, John, what do you have to say about the Cowboys' performance? We both picked the Cowboys to go to the NFC Championships. We obviously saw, potential and a great team, and they just didn't show up. It's that simple.
Right. And that's what we were concerned about. We both picked them to go to the NFC Championship, but we both agreed that our main concern was that they're not consistent. There's games that they show up, like the one against the Broncos, like, some of their losses, they just don't show up to play. And this was one of them. And I agree with Jonathan. I think it's mostly on the coaching staff. You just didn't have your team ready to play. You didn't have them fired up. Getting 14 penalties, that's like the second most in postseason history. So basically, like, you just weren't, so many little mistakes. And like Jonathan said, like, it didn't really come down to the last play. I know a lot of people are going to be complaining about that last play, like the ref and whatever, but like, that's one of the coaching mistakes. Like, okay, Dak and the center don't know it, but you have to hand that ball to the ref because the ref has to touch the ball. He has to spot the ball. So like, you always see receivers when they teach receivers, like, if we throw you to the ball and we have to like go up and spike it, hand the ball to the ref. Don't literally run to the ref and give it to him. Don't throw it to him because he'll drop it or miss it and it'll fly all over the place. So go hand the ball to the ref will run. But like, the ref can easily throw the game at that point. Because if you see the ref, like, if you look at the wide angle of the play, you could see the ref all the way in the back, like from the last play. He was all the way by the 50-yard line. So he sees Dak running in the middle of the field. Obviously in his head, he's like, oh, okay, they're going to want to go and spike this. But he's still standing back there, waits for Dak to slide, and then he starts sprinting. So he could easily throw the game and be like, oh, I just was waiting for the play to end. And then boom, now Cowboys lose. But at the same time, the game didn't really, I mean, obviously it came down to that, but the Cowboys should have, you could tell they didn't deserve to win that game. They are the better team, but they did not play better that day.
Yeah.
So,
and by the way, speaking of that last play, look, I mean, I know the time ran out, but I feel like if it gets that close, like, just give a second to give them an opportunity to make it, a little bit interesting. I mean,
like,
come on.
If you're waiting for the ref, it should be like, oh, let's stop play. Let's let the ref get there. I mean, he's freaking 68 years old. Let's give some time to let him touch the ball.
Exactly.
Is that actually how old he is, or are you just saying that like out of?
No, I'm just saying that.
Okay.
It takes a long time to be a ref, so I figured he's old. But they did show a play on Scott Van Pelt's show. They showed the Packers 49ers this season. And Aaron Rodgers, with the same amount of time, I think it was 16 seconds, right? It was same time for Dak. And he like steps back, does a long pass. As that ball is going in the air, this ref that's behind Rodgers just starts booking it to the receiver. Like, he is full blown running. And by the time the guy catches it, runs a little bit, gets tackled, that ref is right there next to him to get the ball and run it and place it. And they were able to spike it with 2 seconds, and they kicked a field goal or something. So, like, I don't want to blame it all on the ref, but
But
like
what are the chances that like the Cowboys would have got the touchdown from like the
that's
25
the
yard
thing.
line?
You still needed
like
a
the momentum.
touchdown.
I mean,
Yeah, it's
not-
still
if he throw it to
unre-
Cooper, he could have probably got it.
It's still less than like 20%. If you did it 5 times, maybe you get it once.
It's
I
it's still on a wing and a prayer, but it's
It's
the
a
way it
chance.
felt. If they had a second, I would not count
they-
out the fact that they just get mad because the Cowboys get lucky sometimes.
You get lucky, exactly.
You know what I mean? Like, and the momentum felt like they were going to get it.
Yeah.
But Jonathan, I respect you coming out with. I thought you'd focus a lot like other Cowboys fans. Like I'm looking at Skip Bayless, like really focused on that last play, and that's certainly a factor to what happened. But you kind of hit the nail on the head. The 49ers going into the game matched up. I'm looking at this Bay Area article by Taylor Worth, and they pretty much summed up like, and I had the 49ers winning because I can't really quantify why, but they're just consistent, well coached, and they just end up, like Garoppolo is not a flashy quarterback, but he wins games.
They show up every game.
And they do, and I think you guys talked about the discipline and the coaching, but a part of that was the 49ers being able to establish a run. Like I think the bigger problem was the Cowboys did have a lot of takeaways. That's a great thing to have as a defense, but the 49ers were able to control the time of the game, like the possession, being able to run up the middle. And as much as the superstars you have, running up the middle is one of the weaknesses, or along the outside edge. And again, Garoppolo could be consistent, but I think it's interesting, Jared. You bring up that comparison with the Rodgers situation, because I think part of it to me thinks, maybe the ref should have been like hauling after Dak, but it also shows to how wild that call was, like how out of left field. Like maybe he wasn't even expecting, like, oh, Dak's running it, because I guess if he's on a scramble instead of on a throw, like you have to consider a defensive lineman or someone from behind him. Like you don't want to get in the way of someone chasing Dak, although probably not, but that'd be my guess. But I wouldn't even put it on, like, Jonathan, I agree with you. I wouldn't put it on Dak. Like in hindsight, he should have given
slid.
He should have slid earlier and should have found the ref quicker, But in the heat of the moment, that's like
the last thing.
I can't even fault him. Like I think he's, you talked about Zeke not really being there for you guys. Like I would say Dak is your quarterback. I don't really worry about him not, like, that's not a mistake that I'm like, oh, he can't win big games. Like no, I think if he gets a shot, you guys will have a chance for the extra point. Now, if Zerline makes it or not, that would have been another thing. But that's all in hindsight. It comes down to I talked to you guys, like I liked that call. I don't know if McCarthy called it, but it was so unexpected. It was just the execution and these other factors like procedural rules. Like it's just, it sucks that it happened to the Cowboys, but every team has to deal with it. Because what would the league look like if every time it was a crunch time? Like you easily, the center and the quarterback could just line the ball up like a yard further down the field or 2 yards. It's a procedural thing, but it's like from the slide or wherever, like they have to spot the ball. So it sucks. It was really weird for it to end. I'm surprised they stuck to their guns in that. But like you said, I kind of agree that I think overall the Cowboys were the better team in terms of offense. But like John mentioned, there's kind of, we've seen them play. Like they can be really good, but sometimes they start slow. Sometimes they make foolish mistakes. And part of the reason why they had a chance was because the 49ers made so many mistakes that they kind of should have run away with it. But then you have, I forget what the defensive lineman was, but the Cowboys get a 3 and out. But then one of the defensive linemen like RKO's this offensive lineman blocking.
Brandon Gregory.
Yeah, and but that's one that would have given you so much time that we're not even talking about the lack of a second on the spike,
Mm-hmm.
So, and then you talked, John, you said you too, like the second most penalties in postseason history. Like that's just, no matter who you are, that's just the kind of, like there's certainly factors that you can in a microcosm look at the details of what the ref should and shouldn't done. But then you look at all these other things that add up, and it's like, at a certain point, I think the Cowboys were kept in it so much, but they just kept like stumbling over coffee tables, like trying to make it themselves. Like it was like at the end of the game, I texted you guys, I think, like, which team doesn't want to win because they just kept making mistakes. So, it'll be interesting to see because the 49ers, I think, have it. And I just think the Cowboys defense has like had superstars, but you need consistent, like maybe quiet, consistent players. The offense is so flashy. Like it's such a big fan base with such a big business behind it that it thrives off of like names that sell on jerseys. But I think part of it, I think the defense just isn't as flashy by nature. So you got to find those guys that, can stop the run, get a better secondary, things like that, on top of all the talent you already have. So I'd be looking towards the draft to see what you guys do personally, but that'd be my tip if I to help the Cowboys.
which you don't normally want to do.
I don't want to. Maybe I'm lying. So, we'll see.
Maybe you should get a new quarterback. Get rid of Dak. No, I mean, overall, the Cowboys, I texted John and I said, I was so blinded by their just crazy stats they put up this season. I mean, 80% in the red zone at home. They had a great record, like the turnover margin, and they only had one turnover, but they're plus 14 or plus 12 in turnover differential. But my question, because you guys are on the AFC, Giants, Eagles, Cowboys, do you think the NFC East being a mediocre division as of late, is that bad? Because the Cowboys, they play the Buccaneers first, they lose, then they go out and play the NFC East, then they play the Cardinals, they lose at home against the Cardinals, but they have these easy games against, the Giants they played twice. Like Eagles, they're a good team, they made the playoffs, but still compared to what the Niners have to deal with, they got to play the Rams, Rams twice, Cardinals twice. Like they're playing much better teams. Do you think, I don't know, it just made me think of like maybe the SEC and like, Cincinnati this year, where like the SEC is playing star-studded teams every single week. Cincinnati doesn't play anybody the whole season, and they got to go play Georgia or they got to go play Alabama or whatever. Like, is it too much of a shock? Did they not have enough competition during the season to be able to handle adversity when it comes in the playoffs and you're facing these good teams?
Well, we'll have to wait till Green Bay plays to answer that question, because their division's not that good either, right?
It's like,
yeah, I think it does affect to a little bit. Like I've had that situation when I've played sports, and it definitely does make you tougher and makes your team, I feel like more consistent and more like, not overlooking teams and stuff like that. That could have contributed to the Cowboys' inconsistency, I think.
it's just like,
You're right.
Maybe we didn't score on the first 3 drives, but that's okay. We're playing the Giants. They're
Yeah,
not going to score at
exactly.
all. So
Right.
you're able to overcome that. Hang on, wait for my
And
camera.
I mean, the coach,
There we go.
the coaches have to see through that. And that's what I'm saying. Bill Belichick, he demands excellence no matter what teams are playing. Him and Nick Saban, they get annoyed by reporters thinking it's going to be an easy game because they demand excellence every single game. Mike McCarthy's not like that. He gets satisfied.
That's a good example of Belichick, though, because I for years, and I wonder what history will say, but I for years said that, I mean, the Patriots were, I like that you point that out, because the AFC, the division that the Patriots were in, was historically so bad for so long that they were easily a shoo-in for the playoffs. The difference being Belichick is so exacting and disciplined as a head coach that does breed that excellence. And you have a guy like Brady, like that. There is talent and coaching that plays a part of it. But I agree with you, Jared, that it'd be interesting to reevaluate, because I said earlier how the NFC East does breed like teams that can beat the Patriots, they beat the Brady. But I think in years past that was more true, because you had like Andy Reid, who was the head coach that beat Brady twice, in the Giants.
Tom Coughlin.
Yeah, like you had, and there's such, except for the Washington football team, there's such passionate fan bases and pretty strong organizations back with such great coaching historically, and talking about like within the last 5, like that era, that you really had to be top. And then once you got into the playoffs, you were dangerous. Now you got some new coaches around here. Like I kind of worry about Ron Rivera and his squad kind of becoming the top dog, or if these insecurities with the Cowboys. So it's not a crazy question. It certainly does help. Like it makes it harder to get into the playoffs, but that's how you breed. Like John, you were saying, like you want to be a what is it? What's the phrase? I don't know. You want to be a little fish in a big pond, right? Than a big fish in a little pond, because you'll get exposed once you're in the playoffs. So I'd rather you not make it, but you're constantly duking it out with someone who's really good, because that's how you're going to win a Super Bowl once you get there. So not always, there are other factors, but you're right. I mean, maybe it's time to reevaluate as these organizations kind of change. We talked about the changing of the guard with the quarterbacks. Like there's not these solid coaches like Reed or Manning, like these solid, stout things that keep teams grounded. It's going to be a bit of change. So we'll see how the NFC is, because I stumbled across the meme I made for the TikTok for the TikTok of and the Eagles led the division at 2-4-1 last
yeah.
year. And I was like, wait,
They're
was
in the
this?
van.
Yeah, they're in the van singing along, and it's like Carson Wentz, and then the Cowboys are like, really? Like you're celebrating? We were, but you're leading a division at 2-4-1. You know, like that's not gonna breed the kind of teams that could win playoff games. You know, generally speaking.
Yeah, and in the NFC, they call the NFC least, but
Right.
I think this year the best division would be the NFC West, the 49ers, Rams, and Cardinals. And if the Cardinals had faced, the Cowboys and say it all lined up to where they didn't face each other, you could see Cardinals, Rams, and 49ers all in the second round. So those teams, that division is a pretty good division. They have two teams, and NFC East has nobody now. So I don't know. It just got me thinking if I was comparing it to college, where it's like an SEC and like a Big East school or something like that. Like, I don't know. Because I was so high on the Cowboys, I thought they couldn't lose. And I even bet the spread, and I'm just like so confident in it. Like -3 spread against Cowboys at home. There's no way. And I put my money down and lost it so quick. But let's move on to the teams that are still in the playoffs. So the second round matchups, we'll go through the AFC first. Bengals and Titans, and Bills Chiefs. It basically worked out the way the seeding did. No upsets on the AFC side. For me, Caleb, and I think Jonathan. No, not Jonathan. So Caleb and I are the only people who had this AFC panned out. So we kind of have our own bracket. So I have Bengals and I have Bills. But for John and Jonathan, now the Bills are in it instead of the Patriots, and now the Raiders are in it the Bengals are in it instead of the Raiders. So John, talk to me about this Bengals Titans game. Now that you can see this matchup, do you like the Bengals a little bit more than Titans or no?
So now that I could see the Bengals,
you go by matchup.
I do. I go by matchup, and the Bengals are the flashier team. And I know a lot of people are going to be picking the Bengals, but I really do think that the Titans are going to win this game, because when you look back on the season and go through the Titans schedule, they have showed up in the big games. Like, especially, remember that Monday night game against the Rams where they didn't have Derrick Henry?
The defense went off, right?
And yeah, the defense picked off Stafford twice. I don't even know if AJ Brown was playing in that game. I didn't go back and check.
He had a lot of injury.
Yeah, AJ Brown was like,
yeah.
So like the Titans, everybody was discounting them. They were like, there's no way the Titans are going to win this game. Like, Rams are going to destroy them. And the Titans came out, and the whole season they've battled adversity. They did lose to the Jets, I think, that 1 week, but that was like the first week after losing Henry and AJ Brown. But like every week that they've played a really good team, they've like showed up. They beat the Chiefs. They beat the Bills already. They beat the Rams. So they've beaten these top teams. I just don't see any way that the Bengals win this game, especially with Henry coming back and the starting defensive tackle for the Bengals going on injured reserve. I just don't see that. I think the Titans are going to show up at home, and I think they're going to win this game. And I don't know by how much or whatever. I'm just saying I really do believe that the Titans will win this game.
Were you impressed by the Bengals against the Raiders? Because it was a close game, which I didn't really expect. The Raiders played really well.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't really that impressed because the Raiders made a lot of mistakes and the Bengals had some good plays against them. But for the Raiders to make that many mistakes and still be within 5 yards of tying the game, like when the clock ran out, like the Bengals, like, yeah, they played well. Like, Chase had over 100 yards, but Higgins only had 2 catches. I think Boyd only had like a couple catches. So like Mixon didn't have a great game.
They relied on Chase a lot. They that first 2 drives, that was the only guy they're going to, and they couldn't do anything about it.
Right. So like I just didn't see the juice. Like, obviously they played well, but I didn't see them like coming out and being like, dominating. I mean, I just don't think they're going to be able to go into Tennessee with Tennessee coming off a bye. I just don't think there's any way that they're going to be able to do that.
Okay.
I mean, what about you and Caleb? Because you guys both had this.
I was just going to ask that.
You guys both had Bengals Bills, right?
Yeah.
So do you guys still both believe that?
Yeah, I was gonna ask Caleb the same thing. Did the Bengals' performance kind of change your mind a little bit?
Yeah, they definitely played. I did have them winning against the Raiders, but John, you kind of convinced me a little bit towards a case for the Titans. I know you didn't like. I mean, did you have them?
I had the Titans beating the Raiders.
Yeah. Okay. So I could see. I think I don't want to discount Burrow. Like I know there's a lot of hype and like you said, flashiness too. His style is kind of, I think he's shown he has the clutch factor. So I don't want to rule him out the same way I wouldn't Herbert. In a similar situation, but uh, part of me is I'd still. I know I did have the Bengals winning, so I don't want to stick by it just because I had the bracket. But talking about why the Titans might win is because they're not that flashy. They might have Derrick Henry back, but I was like, as you mentioned it, I was like, oh, John was making a good point. And I was reading this article by John Glennon and talking about how the time of possession that the Titans have is one of the I think the second best in the league. So they're just able to keep the ball out of Burrow's hands. Then what's he going to be able to do? And that's even without Henry, they're able to do that. Now they're also getting some. Like they had the bye week, so they have the offensive line. I think for the past 3 games is fully healthy, and they've allowed I think 1 sack. And like you said, whether if Henry's there, all power to them. But even without him, they still had a really good defense, and the run game was able to keep the ball out of the hands. Part of this will depend on how the Bengals come out of the gates, because I know Vrabel is a very good coach. I'm not as familiar with how the Bengals coach. But like I said, if they come out and score right away, that definitely puts the onus on Tannehill to make some passes, not rely on the run game. So I think that you got to take that into account that you're going to want to come out on fire if you're the Bengals because you don't want to be behind, you don't want to be catching up when they have the ball and they're running it down your throats. My other worry is Burrow's gotten hit a lot this season, and if the Titans can add any pressure like that, can they hold up as well? I think the Titans have a better O line. I did have the Bengals, so part of me just thinks for chaos reasons, for just flashiness, like it'd be cool to see Allen and Burrow. I'm gonna stick with the Bengals because there's so much randomness that can happen. But if the Titans win, I won't be surprised. I'll be like, yeah, that makes sense.
I'm keeping it. I like the Bengals.
Really?
I'm gonna keep my statement from before, which is that Titans are one of the fakest teams in this bracket. And
dude, but they've beat so many good teams when they like show up in those big games that they need to.
They do. But I see through that. I don't know. There's just something about them. Like I can't wrap my head around Tennessee Titans from this season being number 1 seed. Like that's not right. That's not right.
They were so bad for so many years that it's like you never play them in Madden. You never play as them in Madden.
No. Yeah, you never play with what? Tannehill? No. Mariota maybe. But from a couple years ago.
Yeah.
Good scrambler, yeah. But
yeah, I think you guys will see, because again, I keep on saying this. Derrick Henry's coming back, and all they have to do is feed Derrick Henry, run the clock. Burrow's not going to get much opportunities to shine.
Are you worried that he's going to come back and kind of take it easy and not do
Derrick
well?
Henry's not that type of person. I've seen
in like
play enough
8
games.
weeks.
Yeah, I think Jonathan's right, because in the past when he's gotten hurt, he's never missed 8 games, but he's gotten hurt in the past, and the game after he comes back, he goes off. Like there's no like limitations.
It's
so like if he's
bye.
back, he's back. He's like
8 weeks of rest for running back in the middle of the season, and there's still like
But if they played last week, he probably would have played.
Well,
and now he has an extra. Now he has an extra week to like condition and get ready.
Was he rushing it? Is my question.
He was in pads this week for I think last week he was, but yeah, they were saying that I think there hasn't been a direct as of literally like 59 minutes ago. There hasn't been a statement saying he's active or going to play, but there are signs that he's like when he's in pads, he's getting. I think he's going to get contact practice this week, but he's cutting a lot faster than he did. Like that, the bye week is definitely to the Titans' favor to him coming back potentially for the Bengals. If I'm the Bengals, I just activate him.
Even if he doesn't play, or even if he plays and only gets 10 to 15 carries, they're still going to win this game.
No. They need Derrick Henry to go. They need him to go off. They need 100 yards, 2 touchdowns.
It would help.
But even if they don't, they'll still win.
I don't think their passing offense is not good enough if you matched it up, Joe Burrow and their passing offense against the Titans passing offense, and it's just a straight up shootout, then the Bengals win every time.
You know
Yeah,
what
but
this
it
feels
won't
like?
be that, which is why the Titans won't let it get to that.
This feels
Exactly.
like that argument about like the Burrow and his boys and the offense. That sounds a little bit. It reminds me a little bit of 49ers Cowboys that just happened, right? Like
Yeah,
Very
49ers
true.
it would
aren't
be
as
the same
flashy.
thing. You were like, if the Cowboys and 49ers got into a shootout, then the 49ers
Like Cowboys
have no
have
chance.
well, Cowboys have more of a shootout, potential, and I think same with the Bengals. And and in the game of football, I mean, look at how close the Cowboys were and could have been to winning. So it could go either way. That's why I'll stick with the out of chaos Bengals. But
I think
the ground game is
this is my most confident pick actually out of these 4 games this
I can
weekend
see that.
is the Titans beating the Bengals, in
Yeah.
my
Hmm.
opinion.
wow. Okay,
Mm,
So-
no.
so you have Titans, John. Me and
Mhm.
Jared have
Bengals.
Bengals, and Jonathan, you
Jonathan wants
For
to
the
be
Titans.
right.
Wow, John and Jonathan together for once.
Thing is, though,
Wow. Okay.
I'm glad that I'm not on John's side because John's brackets absolutely
Well,
busted.
that means if I got a lot wrong already, that means my
No,
percentage
no,
is
no.
high. So that means
What?
I'm basically going to get a lot right this weekend. To
Wait, what does that
counteract.
mean?
How does that work? That's
Well,
not how it
because
works.
if I've
No.
I've gotten 3 out of 6 correct, right? So that's
Tricky,
50%.
tricky.
But
Yeah,
my typical average of getting things right is upwards of 80%, which means I would
For
have
fantasy,
to get. I'm going to get a
fantasy.
lot right this weekend.
Your brackets are always screwed up. That's why I was so scared that we had the same bracket because
No. I mean,
yeah,
we'll
but-
see. We'll see.
Hey,
I
so
think I
what
got
about-
Bengals, but Bills Chiefs is going to be an interesting one.
Yeah,
Bills
that one is such a
Bills-
ah.
killed the Patriots. It was like over by the freaking 2-minute. So I'm happy. I'm sitting pretty. Caleb and I are sitting pretty with the Bills. But Jonathan, are you a little worried? The Chiefs are. I mean, they looked good, but in the
Didn't even finish
beginning,
the question.
in the first quarter,
No.
it was close. They had the DJ Watt touchdown. It was a little scary. They got down 7-0. Then obviously the second quarter hit and they went up like 21-7. But you're not
Yeah.
worried at all. I mean, the Bills dominated Bill Belichick and the Patriots, and you're not even breaking a sweat.
And no, not at all, because
Oh my gosh.
there's so many different things that went on. Okay. Look, they're playing at home. Okay, great. But Patriots had a lot of injuries. A lot of people were beat up. A lot of people were questionable before the game. If you saw the list, a lot of them. And most
of them on
playing.
offense.
Yeah. I mean, most of them ended up playing, but the guy that kept on getting beat a lot, that cornerback, they're picking on him all night.
Oh yeah.
They're picking on him all night. That's what you do. I mean, that's the smart thing about the coaching staff. They want to win. So hey, Josh Allen had a great game, and like I said before, he rushes a lot when he's in trouble, and that's what he did, and they didn't have an answer. So, I mean, that's Bill Belichick. I don't know. I don't know what happened, but I still think the Patriots. They were still a young team. You have a rookie quarterback. He's probably the only rookie quarterback, or he is the only rookie quarterback playing in the playoffs. They've all struggled this year, and so that I'm not going to give him like praise for that. I mean, that was kind
What
of
do you
expected.
mean?
I was just trying to pull.
You thought
I
the
just picked
Patriots
upset.
would win. Like the Patriots.
Yeah,
they
I mean,
had a really-
I had to pick it, just like Jared said. I had to pick one upset, and that was my upset.
Oh, okay. That makes
That's
sense. I'll
fair.
give you that because
fair.
I did the same with the Eagles.
He had a lot of time to think about that answer.
So yeah, I mean, and Jared, you talk about the Chiefs. Look, players are gonna make plays. TJ Watt is a great player. He's gonna make plays, but the Chiefs still dominated as well.
Yeah.
I'm sure y'all saw Tyreek Hill's
But-
celebration and stuff.
What
they had
do you
fun.
think? What do you think is going to be the main like difference maker? Because when the Bills and Chiefs played earlier this year, it was in Arrowhead Stadium, and the Bills won 38-20 something.
Oh wow,
like the-
that's good.
The
Good.
Bills like beat them by over 2 touchdowns.
And that's good. That's good. That's very good. I even forgot about that. It's hard to beat a team twice.
Yeah.
Okay. It's hard to beat a team twice.
Not
the Chiefs
really.
want to win. The Chiefs know they lost. They're gonna watch film every second until the game.
The Cowboys,
find out what they do.
beat the Eagles twice. They beat the Giants twice. They beat the football team twice. It's not that hard. These teams, when they suck,
That's
they suck.
division. I think he means like when you play them once in the beginning of the season and the second
I
time
went
in the
back.
playoffs.
I think you're both right. I think you're just getting at each other. But in Jonathan's head, I think it goes to how the Saints beat the Bucks twice, right? But no, they blew them out once last year, and then but they
Yeah.
won in playoffs. It does change. Maybe they didn't show their best hand. We talked about, like
Exactly.
maybe they. I don't
They
know
know
if
their
we said
mistakes.
this, but they lost on purpose to not show the other team how they really want to beat them. I don't know.
Smart.
So
but
anyway,
you're both right.
I think so. Jonathan, you're sticking with Chiefs, obviously, right?
Oh yeah, the Chiefs are gonna win this.
Okay, and then
They're gonna win this.
this is my second most confident game. I think the Bills are definitely going to win this game. And then Jared and Caleb, are you sticking with Bills?
How is your Super Bowl Packers win? How is that not your most confident? That's going to be your third
Dude,
most
they're playing-
confident.
I was gonna
They're
say
playing the
isn't-
49ers, bro.
Shoot.
Are you kidding me?
I thought you said the Super Bowl
I'm worried
was
about the 49ers.
certain.
Yeah, I thought it was certain. This should be your most obvious. What the heck? You picked Bengals
Let's-
Titans, but you have Bills in the Super
like
Bowl.
you're
so
more
Titans-
sure of the.
Let's wait
Doesn't
until we
matter.
get there. I'm just taking
Alright,
it
fine.
game by game.
You're
here.
more certain of the Titans game, which was predicted incorrectly, than like the certainty that the Packers. The
I mean,
Packers.
the
No,
Bills. The Bills will win this game. There's one guy that if I had FanDuel still downloaded and I didn't delete
Don't.
it,
Don't do it.
Don't, Jared, don't.
Stephon Diggs. You saw him watch the celebration last year in Kansas City. Just sat there and watched as they celebrated. And it's been a full year and they're back in the same stadium, same team. And they're back where they were before and they have a chance to redeem themselves. And I think the Bills are going to want it more. I don't think the Chiefs will want it. I think when it comes down to it, and an adversity hits, the Bills are going to be ready. They're going to be seeing red. And that's going to be the difference. It's who wants it more. And I think the Bills want it more than the Chiefs this year.
And I think that, that's interesting. But I also think it comes down to coaching a little bit. Andy Reid is far better than
Oh,
Bills
of
coach.
course. But they just
Way
beat
better.
the best. So
Yeah. And so when it comes down to this, when it comes down to, similar teams like this deep in the playoffs, you have to look at the coaches. That's where the difference is.
You don't
So-
think the Bills didn't coach very well last game against the Patriots. It was
I mean,
They
the
did
players,
beat
the
the
players were
best.
just making plays.
the players just did good. The coaches
yeah, because
sucked,
there's backups playing. It was just they gave up.
yeah,
They just gave up early.
that's a good
It's
point.
cold.
You're
They're
right.
like, "Oh,
I
let me
think
try to
you're
be
right
good."
about that.
it is supposed to be very cold in Kansas City, which bodes
fav-
well for Josh.
That favors Bills.
Yep, it does favor Bills.
That's big.
Well, it's in Kansas City, so the crowd's gonna be wild.
It
That's
is going to
big.
be loud, very wild.
That is true. I'm
Josh
kinda
Allen
swayed
doesn't.
by other
Josh
positions.
Allen doesn't need to call a play. He'll just run the ball himself.
I'm sure they like.
Actually,
I'm
yeah.
sure
that-
everybody's seen that.
if
You're gonna
I
have
still had,
somebody prepared.
if I still had FanDuel, Josh Allen over rushing yards.
Yeah. It
You
took
guys will
1
see.
week. 1 week,
Yeah.
and we're all out of money.
Guys, I'm not saying this. Fine, maybe
Wait, Jonathan-
like
yeah,
Caleb said,
Jonathan.
maybe you could say I was a little biased with the Cowboys.
Jonathan, can you
This
please
one I'm not biased. I'm just
not
telling you.
be don't be biased this
Yeah,
time.
we're
For one
It's just
fi-
that
for the
easy.
next 5 seconds, don't be biased.
I'm not being biased.
Who's gonna win this game? Chiefs or Bills?
Dude, Patrick Mahomes wants to go to another Super Bowl. Are
I'm giving you a chance. I'm giving you a
Gonna
chance to get it.
it.
I'm giving you a chance to get it right. Okay, one more time.
Just a lot.
Don't be
No.
biased. Chiefs or Bills?
Chiefs.
I
It's not
tried.
biased.
You know, I
Dude.
tried.
You guys will see. I can't wait. Oh, I can't wait. I can't wait.
No,
you know what's
can't
gonna what's
We
gonna
always have to be
happen?
careful.
The Chiefs are gonna win, and then immediately when it's over, I'm gonna get a text from Jonathan, and it's gonna be the time code of this exact moment. I know
It's gonna be like,
exactly.
make this TikTok right now.
Yeah. So
Ooh,
I
wow.
might.
Oh,
I'll
yeah.
just make it. I'll just have it prepared just in case.
Jonathan, if you're gonna do that, then I'm gonna do it the opposite way.
Yeah, I don't mind. I don't mind.
Why? All right, this is
Well,
going.
I
It's not
already
as
have the-
impressive when it's 3
I already-
against 1, but it's
I
impressive
already have
when it's
the-
1 against
I-
3.
Yeah.
That's true. Yeah,
So-
I'll stick with my Bills pick too. I won't go as deep into it because I think it's just clear after like the wallop they gave. I texted you guys like it's always a good day. Yeah, the walloping, the conundrum that the Patriots found themselves in.
The clinic, absolute
yes.
clinic.
I mean, for the fans, I think we mentioned this. That it's the first time in NFL history. I thought maybe postseason, but I think NFL history period that there was a perfect offensive game, meaning every time you had the
Wow.
ball, it ended in a touchdown. Which against the Patriots, against the Bills, it just made me happy, to see them suffer. So, yeah, I'm sticking with the Bills 'cause I think it's where most momentum and hype will be, and it's kind of after that game is, but I will err on on Jonathan's side. I'll throw you some bones because I could see the Chiefs winning for two big reasons. One is Andy Reid being, I think overall the better coach. I think, but that you don't have to be the overall better coach. I mean, like Jerry pointed out, Belichick. So it's the better coach is whoever wins. That day.
When you pair Reid and Mahomes compared to Belichick and Mac Jones,
Well,
that's
it's not
where
the
it kind of
same.
differ. Exactly.
It's
Exactly.
true.
That's what
It's
That's
true.
what I'm saying.
And it is to Belichick's credit that he was able to get to the playoffs with a rookie QB. Like, yeah, like Jonathan, you said, like it's not, you don't want to just get there, but it's different for Brady to go to a team that's kind of ready for him to take it over. Then as a coach, you're not playing. You're kind of having to, they spent a lot on defense, but then, the Patriots are rebuilding. But I could see the Chiefs winning because they are so explosive and they have the better coaching and they have had improvements to the defense. The part of me that still hesitates is that first half of the season where they really struggled, on all sides of the ball. If those old pains come up again, and they're exploited by the Bills, because it's easy to see now, like they've been on a hot streak, and it's definitely maybe they fixed whatever was going on, and it's more important to fix it than to be right and then lose it as the season goes on. You don't want to start strong and finish weak, other way around at least. But I worry that the pieces that, if say they patched up a lot of holes, if the working of if the patchwork wasn't that strong, if the Bills will expose it. So I'll be
Right.
I wouldn't be surprised.
I like that point because a lot of people have been saying, well, the Chiefs are going to win this game because they usually in the beginning of the year, they use Tyreek Hill and Kelsey a lot of the time. But recently they've been using Hardman and Pringle and a lot of these other receivers, DeMarcus Robinson last game. But if that, I know you got to that, but what if in this game you still it's all about coaching and maybe it's better to just go to Hill and Kelsey in this game because the last time these two teams played in the AFC Championship, they couldn't stop either of them. But now that you're going to disperse it around, it's been working, but is it going to continue to work? So I like that.
Yeah.
And I mean, oh, sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, I wouldn't mind having the Chiefs, to be honest.
I wouldn't.
Joe Burrow versus Patrick Mahomes, that'd be great.
If that happened, I would be fine. That's going to be a fun game.
I'm hoping for a shootout. Jonathan, you were saying?
Yeah, I'm saying, to go back just to, I don't know if you guys remember, but the Patriots and Bills have played 3 times. That was their 3rd game against each other. Okay.
Yeah.
The first time, Bills lost a heartbreaker. So the next time they prepared hard to win the game, and they did. And the second, they knew what needed to be done, and that's what happened. If you look at the Cardinals and Rams, same scenario. The Cardinals destroyed the Rams the first game. The next game, Rams won. And the 3rd game they played, Rams already knew the tricks to beat them, and they dominated and executed.
So you're saying the team that wins most recently will beat them again. So that means Bills will win.
I'm saying the team that wins first has a strong possibility of losing the second.
Oh, okay. So the Chiefs won the first 2 matchups, so that means they're going to lose.
No, I'm talking about this year. No, every year is different players. I'm talking
about
this year.
Okay. So you're just skewing this analogy into your favor somehow.
No, I'm just saying.
I see.
Again, when you lose, you get so angry. Obviously, so you try everything you can to flip the scenario the next time, and that's what's going to happen.
So last year in the AFC Championship, the Chiefs won. So this year. It's the Bills.
It's different. There's different players, completely different players.
How can I can't. I tried, guys. I really did.
Let's move on to the NFC. Maybe the analogy will work in this case. So 49ers, Packers, and then Rams, Bucks. Now, Jonathan, you recently just faced the 49ers. Do they have any shot against the Packers in Green Bay?
I mean, it could be an interesting game, but I think Aaron Rodgers lives for these moments. People think Garoppolo is on a hot streak. They think, he's doing pretty good, but I think Aaron Rodgers is going to win. I think Green Bay and Aaron Rodgers are going to find a way to win this game. In terms of overall, I mean, I don't know if we want to talk about that, but I think a lot of these teams that are left have great offenses. So I want to look at the defensive, teams that have they've had great games that, have key players. So I'm thinking the Rams have a great team to win overall, based on what I saw briefly yesterday.
Don't get fooled because they did play really well, but they were also at home and they had a lot of fans behind them and they had a lot of energy, and the Cardinals weren't that good anyway because that was the first time they didn't have D-Hop and.
Well, if you think about Von Miller, Aaron Donald, and
Yeah.
Ramsey, and all these guys, like
And you want to hear what PFF or whatever the Pro Football Focus, the
Oh.
best receiver graded by PFF was Odell Beckham. He was the number 1 receiver.
It's because he threw a
Graded.
pass.
For that game.
Oh, no, receiver, not quarterback. Which was
in that
beautiful.
in
That
that
was-
game or in the
No way.
playoffs.
in the whole playoffs, not Diggs, not
Odell.
Debo,
Dude,
not
Dude, no,
Odell
that
was the best.
That can't be.
no,
right.
It
dude,
was
Josh
PFF
Allen. Okay,
graded.
so
We won.
Odell had a better
I'm
game
not
than
saying
Josh
you're
Allen.
wrong. They're wrong.
Odell had a better game than Josh Allen. Yep,
No, receiver.
sounds right.
Receiver.
What do you, receiver?
Oh,
Why do you keep mentioning quarterbacks?
you said everybody.
No, he said receiver. So
Hey,
of all the
obvious-
receivers in the playoffs, I was surprised it wasn't Cup because maybe he didn't score
Yeah, I
that.
thought it was Cup.
Because you see that play where Cup got it on the sideline, but then managed to like yards after catch, but also stay in bounds. Like it's just a high IQ plays. You know, I don't know.
It was on.
I just saw the highlight.
Speak
and
for
I'm like, wow.
yourself. Speak for yourself. Show they said Odell was the number 1 PFF.
I mean, who else would have been close in terms of like, the
Chase?
top receiver?
I don't know.
Top receiver.
I
Yeah,
have
I don't
no
know.
idea.
I
who
don't
would
know. I
be
wouldn't have
close.
guessed Odell, but good for
So-
him.
So Jonathan, you're sticking with you think Packers win this game?
Oh yeah, Packers. Aaron Rodgers is not going to lose this game. He's not going to lose this game. The Packers are going to win.
So if we all agree, then we can just move on to the next one. Then
Yeah, I think we would all agree that 49ers match up really well. I think we would probably all agree that we think the Packers are going to win, but the 49ers have beat them before, and it's going to come down to the last minute of the game. So it's going to be a fun game to watch, but I think at the end of the day, I think Rodgers will pull it out.
yeah,
Yeah,
Yep.
I have the Packers winning too. I mean, we've talked about like all the reasons why they like, if the 49ers win, I won't be like flabbergasted. Like what?
Yeah.
How could this happen? Like the Packers have a lot of hype, and I mentioned I think a podcast or two ago. Like they don't have as big a run game, and that might be a factor. But Rodgers is good enough that you could still keep time of possession with like the way he plays. Like he's just been so scary good. But
Mhm.
yeah, I'll still have the Packers, but I wouldn't put it beyond the 49ers to win. I think Garoppolo, like the turnovers, the things that let the Cowboys stay in the game might be critical against a team like the Packers.
Right.
Exactly. Once this camera turns back on, so I think Garoppolo's thumb injury is gonna be the difference maker in the bitter Green
I think
Bay
he's
cold.
faking it. I think he just wants an
Stop,
excuse
stop.
if he loses.
Who's the backup in the 49ers?
Lance,
Trey Lance.
Is he good?
he's a rookie.
Yeah. he's
Imagine
really-
if he
he's
comes
the
in.
playbook.
If he
Imagine
comes in,
came
they
and
won't. They have no chance to win.
Yeah, if he comes in,
Imagine-
they're going to lose.
Imagine if
What?
we have a
They have a better chance with Trey Lance than
No.
dude. Trey Lance played in
He
North
doesn't know the
Dakota.
Yeah,
if
he
we have
doesn't
a
know what
fold
he's doing.
situation.
He doesn't know the
with
playbook
49ers.
yet that well.
Stop.
He runs
We
his runs all the
Just
time.
have him
Don't
drop
know.
back and do QB draws.
That's all. Actually, yeah, that's a good idea because that's
Well, 'cause-
the only play he knows.
Yeah.
Because Garoppolo is a question mark. Okay, obviously, if they win the Super Bowl and Garoppolo goes deep again, like maybe you don't just give up on him. But there's been a lot of question marks with Garoppolo. Like there's talk of
I think
No,
you
Lance
give
being the
up
guy.
on him. I think
Yeah,
you give
unless-
up on him unless
You
you
don't
even
unless
if you
you
win the Super Bowl,
remember
Unless
last year
you
I
would
said the
have to
same-
get to the Super Bowl.
just getting there.
Yeah.
Are you
They
kidding
didn't get
me?
there
Get there.
before. I
Are
think
you
they have
guys
to win
kidding
it.
me? Would
What?
on Garoppolo for Trey Lance
Yeah,
Yeah.
next year?
Next
Yeah.
year.
Even to
Oh,
make,
you guys,
even
I
to
don't
win
know.
against the Cowboys is pretty. I'm with Jonathan on this one. It's I'm
Yeah,
not
but
as familiar with.
I
Lance,
wanted
but
him gone by last year, and he's
If he
actually
can't-
overstayed his welcome.
he always
in the-
like misses. Did you see that he missed
No,
that
yeah.
throw to Ayuk and then he threw that interception? Like,
Now, if it's true, he has a broken ligament and like a chipped bone in his thumb, which
He-
is like
yeah,
It's
but he
the-
always gets
the
injured. He
webbing.
gets injured every year. So it's like at some like Caleb, like you said, like some people just genetically get injured more than others, and he's just one of those guys. So it sucks to suck, but like sometimes he
It
just
sucks
doesn't
to
play
suck.
because it's not his fault. It's like just not his fault. But
I think you'd have to win because you see how I think you have to win the Super Bowl if I'm not as familiar with the situation.
if
You'd
you
have
won
to
this
win,
game,
I think.
if you won
If they
this
win
game,
this-
I would
oh,
say
if-
keep him because
If
this
they
is
win
this
this
in
game
Green
because
Bay.
of him, yeah. If because of him they win, then I think he has his job for sure. because you look at golf, it's not enough to make the Super Bowl. Because if like the things, if the pieces aren't there, teams aren't afraid to move on. There's talk with the Cardinals already with coaching and quarterback. So yeah, I don't know.
So you bring up Goff and the Rams. So another stat that I found is that Matthew Stafford threw 17 pass attempts, and that's the least of any of the quarterbacks in the playoffs. But also when they had Jared Goff and the Rams and they made their Super Bowl run, his first start, which you'd think they wouldn't be, as trusting of Goff in his first start in the playoffs, but he had like 40 pass attempts. And a lot of it is the schemes and play calling, obviously favoring the run game because it was working, and they were up by 28 at half, so they didn't need to throw as much. But what I'm saying is I am not going to be so high on the Rams as much because Matthew Stafford is the X factor that you need. He's been playing so inconsistent up until this playoff game. And even this playoff game, he didn't play amazing. He just was a game manager and he did what he was supposed to, but it was nothing out of the ordinary for him. And he didn't have to win the game for him. But with this, it's Tom Brady, Matthew Stafford. He has to play well. And I'm worried that the inconsistency this season, where he started off so hot and then just continued to sputter as the season went on, I'm worried that the Rams are just going to get like blown out because he may not play well. And it's a rarity that he'll have a really good performance that could be up to par with a team that could beat Tom Brady. And that pass defense for the Bucs is really good, and it's way better than the Cardinals. So it's not going to be as easy for him as it was yesterday. So I get why people think that the Rams are a scary team, but I think it may be a little bit of like recency bias where they were the last team to play on Monday, and they were in LA and all these stars were there and everything was all eyes on Rams, and they just completely destroy the Cardinals. But this is a different team. This is Tom Brady. This is arguably, well, they're the Super Bowl champs. Like I wish I put more respect on them. They're the reigning Super Bowl champs with the best player ever to play football. And Stafford has to play to a crazy level. He has to play a near perfect game for the Rams to have a chance in this game. I know they have a great defense, but that offense does not run without Stafford playing well. And yesterday he didn't have to play well because the run was working so well. Defense got him a pick 6. That's not going to happen. There's not going to be many mistakes by Tom Brady in this game.
Well, it's probably going to happen that he doesn't have to do much because the running backs for the Rams are good. Cam Akers.
But the run defense, Bucs run defense just stopped the number one rush offense in the Eagles in the last.
That's an outlier. What
do you mean?
It doesn't matter.
It just doesn't matter. That doesn't matter. The Rams are on a different level than
you shouldn't use facts to base your logic.
And also the reason why Cooper Kupp has been such a star this year and he's probably the most valuable receiver is because offenses are starting to shift towards not just running the ball, but those quick outs. That's another way to get 2-3 yards every play. And, that they've been successful at that all year. And so, that's why having a player like Cooper Kupp is beneficial. You can run the ball, get 2-3 yards, or you can do a quick out, which you'll most likely get every play because Cooper Kupp's going to be open. And so I think there's just so many options for Matthew Stafford to be successful here. He doesn't have to do too much. He doesn't have to throw like 300 or 400 yards or anything like that.
And I think
you'll have to.
It's funny you mention that because these teams played earlier this season, and it was in LA, but the Rams won 34-24. Stafford had 343 passing yards, 4 touchdowns, no interceptions, and Kupp had 96 yards.
When was that?
2
Week
touchdowns.
4, you say?
Yeah, it was like week 3 or 4.
See, that's when he was on his hot streak.
Yeah, I agree with you. I agree with you that obviously, if you're looking for consistency, the Buccaneers and Brady are going to show up. They're going to play how they usually play. So, like, the Rams have a higher ceiling, but they also have a lower floor. So, like, I mean...
lower basement.
Yeah, or the basement. But I think, in my opinion, I'll come out and say it. I think there's no way that the Bucks win this game.
No, wait, you say no way. That's an exaggeration.
I mean, there's a way. They just get more
I mean,
points.
there
But
is a way.
Why do you?
There is a way, but like, I think the Rams are going to win this game. Like, when you think about it,
Don't
I know I
John,
hate to
come
keep
on
saying,
now, John. John, you stay level-headed. Don't be.
no,
I know
I'm
the
s-
Monday night game was high flashing, and
You're
No, I'm
telling him
serious
don't be
because
biased.
don't be
I
biased.
who do you trust more? Do you trust the Eagles coaches or do you trust the Rams coaches? Like, the Eagles didn't put Slay on Evans. Do you
But
think
that's a different
Ramsey?
beast.
Do you think Ramsey's going to be on
That's a
Evans? Or
division.
not?
That's a division winner against a team that came in the last wild card spot.
Ramsey lives for these moments. He's
Yeah,
gonna be on-
Ramsey's going to be okay. So let's say Ramsey's on Evans. Where else
Sure.
is Brady going to go with the ball? He's not. He doesn't
Gronk.
have AB. He doesn't have Godwin. Okay, Gronk. He's going to have to get it out quick. Dude,
That's what he
got
does.
Leonard.
That's literally what he does.
Nobody can't, dude. His left tackle is in a walking boot. His center got a concussion and came back in the game somehow. How are they going to
Donald.
block? How are they going to block Donald and Leonard Floyd and all these guys?
Von
Like,
Miller.
And Von
That's
Miller.
the thing, though. Like we always talk.
Yeah.
I don't know.
No,
Jared-
you're bringing up really
Jared,
good points. You're both bringing. I like Jared's rebuttals, but John, your points. Like, I'm not saying you both have. Like, the rebuttals are fair because Tom Brady has one of the fastest releases. So, but the only way to beat him is by getting like quick to him. You know, like with an offense with a defensive line. The Rams do have that. They do have a guy like Ramsey. Like, there is. My point being, not to your guys' points, but bouncing off of it, is I think it's going to be more of a coaching battle. I don't see it black and white with Stafford can throw a pick or two personally. Like, I think he has proven over his career and playoff appearance and the season already that he can throw a pick or two. Like, he has, just because he didn't throw a lot doesn't indicate the quality of what he can do. He is clutch. He can be great. Like, he's had off games. Everyone does. Same as Brady this season. Maybe he had a couple more like weird games that weren't as good. But I think this will be more of a coaching game. More because they do match up interestingly. The difference I think of with the Buccaneers is those injuries, and that the Rams, I mean, it was different when they played. It was the Rams Patriots, right? But it was still Brady. The only way to beat them, not the only way, but the main way to make the Brady team play to your strengths instead of you play to them, or whatever the right way to say that is by getting pressure. And when they met, it was just Aaron Donald and the rest of the defensive line. Now they have Von Miller. Like, the rotations are deeper, and that's going to play a factor with the injuries too. And then with all the talent, I think it'll just come down to how the coaches will try to outplay the other one, because both quarterbacks have different strengths. I think fundamentally, and this is kind of a broad way to say it, but fundamentally, and I say this every time a team in the playoff goes against a Brady team, but you have to play your game. I mentioned this with why the Eagles lost. As soon as they were down, they started going back to the pass. Like, yeah, they have the best run defense, but make them be the best run defense if you're the Bucks for 4 quarters straight, if that's your game. Now, the Rams are diverse. You know, they can win different ways, and they should explore that. But if they suddenly rule out the run totally and just rely on Stafford, and like, that's what the Bucks want you to do. The Buccaneers defensive coaches would love for you to just take into account, like, oh, they're the best. They're not going to run that often. You know, they would love for them to be able to coach that way. So if you're the Rams, you have to keep them honest and also make them play, because of the coaching. And I mean, like you guys said, Brady's that consistent, that great, that, you know, he's had weird throws and games and picks. You know, like, that's happened this season. So that, you know, you're going to have to capitalize on making him turn over, getting to him, and scoring off of turnovers. But the Rams have to stay committed to however they want to play, not bend to the will of the Bucks coaching. But yeah, I'm gonna go with I want the Rams to win, but I think I'm gonna go with the Bucks.
oh gosh, no.
Yeah, I'm gonna agree.
I want the Rams to win. I'm gonna go with Brady in the hopes that I'm wrong. This is like the thing I do. The counter.
Okay, so you're
There's
hoping
2 ways.
I
There's
think
2
I'm
ways the
right,
Rams-
but I'm hoping I'm wrong.
Or there's 2 reasons I would say that the Rams are going to win. Number one, they're going to, milk the clock. They're going to have long drives, long methodical drives, and you're able to do that if you have superstars and like basically every position on offense. And then, like you guys were saying, like Kale was saying, and actually John was saying, they're just going to rush Tom Brady most of the time and give him less time to throw. So a combination of less drives for Tom Brady and then pressuring him, the Rams should win this.
So
Yeah,
how would they blitz the Rams? I'm curious.
I'm having flashbacks of last season and on one of our podcasts where I said the best team that matches up well with the Bucks is the Rams because the pass rush is elite, and it's the only elite pass rush that could possibly get to Brady. And I think last year, didn't the Rams beat the Bucks? I'll have to double check that. I'm just having a weird deja vu moment of explaining this, but also Leonard Fournette's coming back for the Bucks, so their run offense is going to be way better than it was last game.
I think so. I think the Rams are going to win this game. It's hard for me to think that the Bucks would win. I know it's hard to bet against Brady, but at the same time, he just won't. He's not going to be able to put up 25 points on this team. There's just no way. I mean, if Ramsey and I even if Ramsey isn't on him, like Caleb said, you don't need to have Slay on Evans every play. But then if you don't have him on, where's like the coverage shaded towards him? Like I believe in the Rams coaching staff to actually do that. If Ramsey's not on him, he doesn't have to be on him every play, but if he's not, shade the coverage toward Evans because we know that's Brady's favorite target. And if it's not to Evans and he's not looking at one of the tight ends, he's just going to dump it down to Bernard or Fournette out of the backfield. Brady loves that. He's going to drop back, and if nobody's covering the running back out of the flat, he's just going to like, all right, I'll throw it to him. He'll get 5 yards. I'm happy with that. Move methodically down the field. He'll do that every time. So I just think the Rams are going to win this game, and I think Jonathan made a good point. I think Cam Akers is going to be a difference maker. And I know you guys are saying, oh, the Bucks have the best run defense. Akers looks really good right now. He had a pass from Odell. He had a couple good runs. I think he's going to be a difference maker, and I think he's going to be one of the reasons that they're able to methodically move the ball down the field. He can break off some runs.
Oh, plus the Colts with the Buccaneers won, right? Against when the Colts, I'm thinking of run and defense, right? Because Jonathan Taylor had a huge game against the Bucks, right?
I
think it was
let me
week
see.
12. If that was
No, Taylor had 83 yards and a touchdown.
I think he had a big play. He might have had like a big run. I don't know if I'm misremembering.
Yeah, I had him in fantasy against the Bucks.
He had a huge.
I don't think that was one of his best games, right?
I don't think it was one of his best, but it was a 7-point
his
game.
longest run was a 15-yard run.
Oh, okay. I must be mixing up the games, but still, okay.
Well, so as we wrap up here, we have I'm going with the Bucks. Sorry, Brady,
Jared,
that I bet against you in
please.
the first place, but I'm picking the Bucks and Tom Brady. I'll never not pick them.
Really never.
I'm so mad at myself.
No, don't be. It's okay.
Because last year I was like clear cut Brady's gonna win it, and I was thinking clear. And this year, I guess I just caught on the Jalen Hurts train, and I don't know what happened.
So are you, if with the information you have now, would you switch your Super Bowl pick to the Bucks instead of the Packers?
No, because I have to see the Packers play.
Okay.
But as of like when they're facing the Rams, obviously I'm picking Bucks because Tom Brady, it just was so easy for him, so easy that, and they're gonna be back at home, comfortable. I mean it.
Nice and warm. Yeah, it's gonna be so interesting.
Stafford just got his first playoff win. I'm gonna roll with the 7-time champ over the
don't
1-win playoff.
No, because Stafford was on the Lions for, you know what I mean? Like this is his first year with the Rams, and he gets to the playoffs.
Yeah,
man. The fact that the Lions were pot. Yeah. All right. Don't get me started.
So we have one.
That's
Bucks.
not fair. Yeah, I'm Bucks
Caleb,
too. Yeah.
Caleb and Jared, you guys have the same 4 picks.
Wow. Do we?
You guys both have Bengals, Bills, Packers,
Dude,
and
because we're at the playoffs where it's like, I could see things going other ways. I'm just calling it for the sake. What I will say is the NFC is really interesting to me because no matter how the teams play out, I think it's going to be a very interesting match. Like whatever teams win, I think I could see it's going to be really fun to watch. I hope for the NFC.
It will be fun.
Yeah.
So Caleb and I are Bucks. Jonathan agree for one of the first times.
A couple times.
No, we agree on the Titans. We agree on the Packers. We agree on the Rams.
So it's the Bills Chiefs.
If he wasn't biased, then we would agree on Bills.
I think you guys are biased. I think you guys are upstate New York. You know, you guys.
That could be. There's a lot of Bills fans that could be, brainwashing me.
Fair enough.
It's very possible. There's a
Well,
lot of
so
Bills
can't-
fans in Rochester.
Yeah.
So what happens if I go 4 for 4 this week?
You won't, because you have Titans.
I have Titans, Bills, Packers,
You could
and
go 4 for 4.
Rams. I
Yeah,
could
he
go
has-
4 for 4.
You have Rams.
I could do a Wendy's 4
My
for
most
4.
confident game is the. No, I'm just kidding.
I'm confident about every single
Actually,
one.
yeah, I'm actually confident about every one. Like I'm actually
Just
pretty
pay me money
positive
now,
that
guys.
This
I'm
is
pretty sure I'm gonna go 4 for 4.
You know
I'd be-
what we said,
Yeah.
John? I sent John, and I sent you like a text, and I was like, I think I have the perfect bracket, and John's like, really? Because I think I have the perfect bracket, and we were the
That's-
farthest from it.
Somehow there's even more bias in this podcast than the last one.
Yeah.
Well, wait, Jared, my percentage in fantasy is usually like 70%, right?
So you're saying you got all the
69%.
So
you
if
got
I'm
the 30 out of the way is what you're trying to tell us.
well, I'm 3 out of 6. So there's 4 games this weekend. So if I got 4 for 4, I would be a cumulative 7 out of 10. That's 70%. So I'm basically
So,
going to go 4 for 4 because I have to
you
get
have
back
to.
to my average.
Yeah, you have to to keep up with the
So I'm just saying.
That's gonna be an uphill battle for me and Jared.
I mean, I have Tom Brady on my side, so I'm chilling. So
Mahomes on my side.
I have Josh Allen on my side.
We're like using them like Pokemon. Like
I have Ryan
choose
Tannehill
you.
on my side.
And you guys really love Josh Allen. I mean, he's decent, but
He's
guys,
decent.
calm
What?
down.
you can't
So you
even
need to
say
put
that
it-
he's above average.
Yeah, you need to put some respect on his name.
If they win, I'm gonna send you some Josh's Jack cereal.
I hope you like cereal. Actually, you
Josh
do.
Allen cereal.
Oh yeah, you do. That's probably some good cereal, Jonathan. I bet you'd like it.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Sure. I'll eat it.
It tastes
I'll,
like
you know what? In fact, I'll order it myself. I'll order myself. What's it called? Josh
the
Allen
Bills
cereal?
beat the Chiefs. You'll
Yeah,
order his cereal.
It's like
Well,
Josh's
because- it's-
Jacks, right, Caleb?
Something like we talked about.
We talked about it earlier.
but you're saying the cereal's better than his play. Maybe.
Jonathan, if the Bills win, I want to see you eating Josh's Jacks.
I'll eat it. Yes. I'll
But,
show
I
you.
want
if-
a video of
okay.
you eating it and being like, "This tastes like winner.
What if the
This tastes like winning."
well, what if Brady wins? Anyone who picked it against him will have to like get a meal plan. You know he has the meal plan, right? For
the
you guys have to-
TB12, and you just have
Yeah,
to
you gotta
that.
eat one
Go vegan.
TB12.
Oh yeah, I'll do that because he's not gonna win.
Oh my god.
We just find the food equivalent of whatever these quarterbacks are.
Who's the
Jared,
equivalent
if-
of a pickle?
If Tannehill wins, you have to eat a pickle.
Yeah, that's fair.
If Tannehill wins,
Yeah.
wait, let me
one
think of
bite.
my most confident game. My most confident, I'm going with Brady because I don't want to eat a pickle. So I'm going with
No.
the Bucks.
Just one slice, one little slice.
Doesn't matter. You picked Bengals and they're gonna lose, so eat a pickle.
No, that's my third most confident game. So I got
Okay, so if Brady loses, eat a pickle.
Sure.
Okay.
I don't even know if we can find pickles up here. You know?
Well, I'll
They're
drive
out of
up to
season.
you and I'll make sure one goes down your mouth.
A knock on the door. So-
Right as soon as like a clock hits 0.
I have pickles.
man.
we're ridiculous, and we'll have to think. I don't know what. team I'm-
Caleb, what's your most confident pick?
I don't know what I got because I'll eat anything. So I don't know. Maybe because I might be lactose intolerant. I'll like have a scoop of ice cream, and that's my confidence.
You have to eat.
We'll find out whatever the favorite ice cream flavor is of. I don't. Who did I?
Who's your most confident pick?
Yeah,
Well, if,
you're not confident.
Am I confident? Honestly,
Last
go
word.
with Rogers.
All right.
Oh,
we'll go Rodgers.
that's no fun. None of us don't have Rodgers.
Then let's just go. I mean, I had the Titans winning, so let's go Burrow. If Burrow beats me, we got to find what his food.
Wait, you picked Bengals.
I argued for the Bengals, but I think I stuck with the Titans
Oh,
or
Oh,
something.
I thought,
We'll
I
have to
thought you
play it
stuck
back.
you
Yeah.
stuck with the Bengals because
Or
you were
the-
like, oh, I still had the Bengals, so I'll
I
just
think
roll
he's
with them.
confused from the Tom Brady pick where he picked him, but he doesn't want him to win.
Yeah, he's all confused. He doesn't know what's gonna happen.
I'm all scrambled. All right, we'll text, but we'll find whatever the city food. We'll find a punishment. We'll mention it if it comes to
Yeah.
it.
Well, let's wrap this
Yeah.
episode up. If you made it all the way this far,
Wow.
comment Josh's Jacks in the comments, and I'll make sure to like it and comment on it.
And any ideas for what my punishment could be? That'd be helpful.
Yeah. What could Caleb's punishment be?
He might be lactose intolerant, so anything along
Yeah,
those
don't-
lines would be
Gallon
good.
of milk or something?
Yeah,
Don't
chug a gallon
give
of
them
milk.
help. Don't give them help.
All right. Well, thank you guys so much for watching. Last episode, we hit over 1,000 views, which is the record for Dorm Debate Podcast, well over the record.
Wow.
So thank you guys so much
Thank
for
you,
that.
guys.
That was awesome. I knew it was going to be a great episode. It was also our longest one, well over 2 hours, and you guys showed it some love. So thank you guys so much for that. If you are not subscribed, hit the subscribe button, hit that like button if you enjoyed, and go follow us over on Instagram and TikTok at Dorm Debate Podcast. Thank you guys again, and we will see you guys next week.